What's up everybody, Caster Crashcourse here, and today we're talking about Purple Red Garden. So I decided to build this deck list because as of this current moment in time, set 1 is very scarce. Almost no singles exist online, and sealed product is like good luck even trying to find it. So while that is the case, structure decks are still relatively available on places such as Amazon or eBay, and so I think TCG players might have some as well. And with that being the case, this deck is essentially 2 purple starter decks smashed together with a few singles from the red structure deck and a few singles from set 2. And surprisingly, it is relatively competitively viable. And if you're looking to move beyond just playing with a single starter deck to kind of learn how to play the game, I feel like this is an excellent choice to kind of move forward. And so, since this is my first video, I figured what more perfect of a deck to go with. So without further ado, let's go into the list. So up first we have 4, Spiteful Clam. He's our generic 1-drop for the deck, and he has standard stats for a 1-drop, nothing special about him. But an important part is that he's an insect. All of the monsters in this deck are insects or flowers, which is where the garden name comes from, and it plays a really important role for the card that we're going to see later on in the video. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Our next card is 3, Impotent Swallowtail. He is another vanilla beater, just like Clam. He's also an insect, and his stats are pretty standard. So we're only playing 3 because he's not the greatest thing ever. The greatest thing, however, about this deck is this card, Tactless Butterfly. I think this is the best servant in the game right now. Its effects are crazy, and it basically lets you ignore your opponent's reverse mode cards for the whole game. That shuts down some entire decks just by itself. You're going to want to see 2 to 3 of these every game, and you're never going to not want to play it if you have the ability to. It's just such a strong card all around. Next we have 3, Sneering Orchid. He's our first break in the deck. He's our wall break, and he is okay. We play a lot of breaks in this deck, so loading up on Orchids is not super mandatory. But I like the 3 because you still want to try and maybe get them in your break zone sometimes. Next we have the a better break, but they're both good. But this one's better for sure. This is Mantis. When it comes into play, it kills something, and on top of that, it's got a pretty strong body. Definitely worth playing all of them, all 4. I highly recommend it. Strong card. And then next we have his counterpart. In red, Firewheel. Also 4 of them. Just like Mantis, he's also a break, and he also kills something when he comes into play. But his stats are a little more rounded, so on the off chance you need to put him in reverse mode, you're not guaranteed to lose him, but usually you just want to try to hit that enter ability. They work very well together, and that is part of the red of this deck. Up next we have 3, Proclamation of Life and Death. It's a break, so getting its ability off is sometimes free. It's not the best kill spell because your opponent chooses, but for 2 mana, can you really complain? Especially when you could be getting it for free. Next we have 4, Raging Flame Counterattack. This card is a much better kill spell in general, but you're never going to get it for free. So we're loading up on these and playing less of these. And you just wait for your opponent to swing with something that they just don't want to lose, and you zap it. And you want to see it frequently, so we're playing 4. Next we have 4, Soul Bond. So like I was saying, there are cards later on in the deck that are actually extra deck servants who synergize really well and make this deck the kind of monster that it is. And in order to get them on the field, we need Soul Bond. For those of you who aren't aware, Soul Bond is polymerization, if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going on to casters now, and we have 3, Ellie Superior. She's part of the fusion of one of our extra deck soul bonded servants, and on top of that, she turns all of your standing up insects and flowers into kill spells. And so we're going to play 3 of her. Normally, you would only want to play up to 2 of a caster unless it's really important. And since it's a soul bond target, we are going to be playing the 3. Next we have 2, Laura Hari. Since you're trying to swarm the field with this deck pretty frequently, getting to draw cards off of swinging with 2 or more guys, which you should always have on the table, is a no-brainer. So she's definitely a strong caster. Next we have 2, Princess Papillon. She's also good because you can pitch casters to get your butterflies back if they've been killed for whatever reason. Maybe your opponent's Raging Flame counterattack, or a mantis of their own that your butterfly walked into by dodging. And just being able to recur is a lot easier than having to fish for new ones. So we're playing her. Next we have 1, Haru Michelle. This is one of my favorite purple casters, arguably one of my favorite casters in the game. Not my favorite, but one of them. Being able to punish your opponent for using conjures is just so strong. When your opponent sees this not rested on your side of the field, it's going to make them so hesitant to play spells because they're just going to start losing orbs for no reason. You don't even have to discard to activate this card. She's nutty. She's such a strong card. Next we have Miyu, level 1, 2 level 1s, and 1 level 2. Miyu synergizes a lot with insects and by letting you draw cards. And Miyu level 2 lets you punish your opponent for killing your insects by destroying creatures if they destroy an insect. Plus, you can cycle your hand with her effect to pitch the other Miyu, and that makes her good. I mean, being able to get rid of dead cards in your hand for potential live ones, always not a bad idea. Next, we have our red casters. We have Shara Angelica. Similar to Laura, you're trying to push really hard with this deck, and so getting the plus off of breaking your opponent's orbs, no reason not to. And the last red caster is we're playing 3 Pirouetta. Because we're playing so few actual red cards in the deck, it's not an issue that we're only playing 2 different names, because if you've got 2 red casters on the table, you should be fine for pretty much the whole time. You're playing 3 so that you can see her for your soul bonds. Other than that, she's pretty not helpful in this deck. You can discard a caster if your opponent discards a card, or to make your opponent discard a card, excuse me. But hand hate is not the focus of this deck, so her effect is a little lost. But she's still not bad. Sometimes it's good. And our last caster is 1 Ran. Ran is my favorite caster, and she's super good. Being able to just spot dodge any removal your opponent has is insane in any game, especially because it's free, as long as you control another creature. And we're also playing Miyu and Soul Bond, so that gives us another Soul Bond target moving forward into our extra deck, which is now. So, moving forward, we have our Soul Bond servants, our extra deck. First off, we have 1 Mephiel. Mephiel is a great card, especially in the late game. Her ability to add 3 creatures from your graveyard back to your hand for free is insane, but this deck does not shine in the late game. Its main strategies are pushing your opponent really early, really fast, and if you get to a point where this card is live, you may or may not be already losing the game. So she's definitely a backup strategy, since we're playing Soul Bond and we're playing Miyu and Rand, who are her fusion pieces. There's no reason not to play the 1, so we have it in here. And lastly, we have our main fusion target, 2 Lulu. Lulu is a crazy card. She's insane. In any game that has a mana-based system like this, a card that lets you generate advantage for free is great. It's just, why wouldn't you want to play it if you can? And she does have the restriction of if she leaves the table, all of your flowers and insects die. But that doesn't necessarily matter. You're trying to push really hard, really fast. If you're playing this card, you are going to try and win the turn you play this card. You're not going to give your opponent a chance to answer this card, because aside from Total Eclipse and Raging Flame counterattack, or swinging with a creature they control, there's not too many cards that can deal with Lily Lulu that would trigger her last words. So there is no reason not to play her, and ideally she will win you all of your games if you can get her on the table. If you whiff, you whiff, but you know, that card's crazy. I hope you all enjoyed the deck list. Feel free to leave me a comment or subscribe if you're interested in more content from me. Let me know what you think of the list, what you would change, what you think might be added to the deck in the future. I'm interested in hearing it all. So I hope to see you all in the next video, and have a good one.